Alright, what's up YouTube? If you, apparently I took a photo. If you watched my farm video, you got to see a really quick demonstration of my semi-auto farm here. And yeah, I thought I'd just do a video just on this and maybe even get a little into the redstone behind it. So yeah, we're going to do that. As you can see, my farmers, if you saw that video, my farmer villager is still getting into my crops here. And the only way he could get in is to just drop off this edge. So he, you know, messed up a couple spots. I had to re-hoe them. So, but for the most part, you can see the crops are ready to go. So let's go ahead and just give it a little demonstration, and you'll see what's happening here. So, it came to my attention once while I was making a farm that water picks up crops because I was trying to fill the water hole for the so you can till the land, and the water was knocking all the crops up so I could collect them. So I realized that's a good tool to use to farm really fast. So as you can see, it wiped out all the crops, it pushed them along the way, and then it left all the soil ready to go again. The soil is stair-stepped like this because when the water flows over an edge, you'll see that it actually extends. So this water flows about twice as far as it would normally if it was just flat area. If there was one more block right here along this line, that would edge right there would just stop, and that would be the end of it. So yeah, and once it pushes all the crops down, it hits a line of try to do this before it gets too dark out here. A line of first. Nah, I knew I was gonna do that. First packed ice, and then that pushes the items faster over the edge and into this line of hoppers, and those line of hoppers feed into a sorting system down below. Now I've kind of modified this since that last video. Now it connects to the full sorting system, and I've also added wood and everything like that, so maybe one day I'll get into that. But yeah, anyways, that thing, those hoppers feed, they run along here, they go through this system here, and then they just start, you can see, filling up just the carrots, because that was all carrots. If this were, you know, if I had planted all of my crops, I'll usually like put them in rows, so it's like carrots, wheat, potatoes, etc., over and over and over again. But yeah, I just did carrots this time because I wanted to like increase the carrots, and then next I'll just take all these potatoes and plant potatoes all across the way, and then I'll take all the wheat seeds and do that. But if I'm running low and only have like one stack of each, then I'll just separate them by rows and do them all at once until I've got enough to plant in full. And you know, you can actually scale this up and just keep adding steps, and that will just keep going. The water will just keep flowing over each step. But the reason I didn't do that is because, as you saw, when I jumped down and jumped back up, that broke the soil. So I'm good with this because at this point I can actually, I'll show you with some wheat here. I can actually go over here and, you know, you just go through, just planting like normal. You can just be as sporadic and crazy as possible. You don't have to be walking down lines back and forth or anything. You can just kind of hold the button, walk around. But you can also, if you crouch, reach the last row. So I figured this is good enough. Now you do have to wait for everything to grow, so you can't use a complicated bone meal system like I've seen people do that does it really fast. But for the most part, it's just fine. You kind of set it and forget it and walk away. So once you see everything's grown, which it isn't right now, you hit that button, it opens up a bunch of pistons, and the water flows and knocks everything out, as you saw. So, and another thing too is, you know, the water block is right there. You can kind of see a little sliver of blue. That covers this whole area, just that one water block. So, yeah, that's all you need right there. Is just, and it covers anything one block below it as well. So, yeah, you just need that one block right there every few spaces. These are spaced out exactly 1, 2, 3, 4. Because that's the radius it covers is 4 blocks away from the block. So yeah, but yeah, so you get a ton of crops that you plant, and once you're ready to harvest, you just hit the button and it separates them all for you. You can do them in any order, you can do any way, it won't matter, because once the water is done flowing, everything will be in its appropriate box where you can come and find it later. And at the end of every on every end is a box like this, and all you do is you just open it up and throw whatever's left when you're planting in there, and that'll go through the system as well. So let's go ahead and give a little tour of some of the redstone behind it. Now, this is honestly a very, very simple system. It looks complicated here, but I'll show you what I did. So this redstone block right here is that's just the sorting system, so you don't need to worry about that. But this redstone block is powering this line of redstone, which is running down. We'll go ahead and break this and take a little peek. It's just running straight down this path with a redstone repeater every few blocks, so that it keeps the circuit going for more than 15 blocks. And merely those just run behind the pistons. Nothing complicated there. Simple line running right next to the pistons will cause the pistons to stay upright, holding the water closed. But when you want to hit the water going, that's when the timer system goes. Now, I have a button installed here just so I can demonstrate. Hopefully it actually works. I'm not even 100% sure because I haven't tried it yet. I didn't want to waste the crops before this video. But this should work, and what it is this is connected to a piston, and there's a line of redstone behind it that runs to the button in the sorting room. But this one should activate it, and yep, there it goes. So the piston pushes, it's not a sticky piston, and breaks that circuit. But then it starts this circuit, which, as you can see, is running a timer system. So once that timer has gone for long enough, and you can test to see what works best for you, it runs to this other piston, which then sends the redstone back to close the pistons. And this is going to take its sweet time turning off, but it won't matter because you're harvesting crops at this point. But yeah, and then the piston resets. So that's a very simple timer system that I built. It's a little more resource heavy. I've definitely seen people do easier to build and smaller scale stuff with comparators. I've done that myself, using comparators to create a smaller timer system. But comparators, I keep calling them comparators. Comparators, anyways, use a nether quartz, which is not as easy to come by as a lot of resources. So I tend to prefer these, which just uses stone and redstone, because they, even though they take up more space, they're a lot less resource heavy. So yeah, that's the timer system. I'll go ahead and run it again. We can't see the water right now, but it is flowing. Actually, we could check it out, but by the time we get up there, I think it'll be pretty much done. But yeah, and yeah, we caught it just in time. And nothing too fancy there. It's just a bunch of pistons under the ground with the sandstone. Hi, creeper. We're not in passive mode right now, so a bunch of sandstone. And some of the tricks you're gonna have to learn when building one of these is you're gonna have to have a too high wall, because I noticed the water would push some of the items onto the wall, and you'd have to go collect them afterwards, so it wasn't very clean. We still have a few issues where the items will sometimes get stuck in the doorways, but by then it's usually like you miss like 3 to 6, and nothing to get too freaked out about. And when you are planting your crops anyways, if you do it right after, you're pretty much going to pick them up as well. As I said before, the hopper systems run all the way over here, and there's another chest you can see here. This one will also feed into that sorter down there. But we also have our auto systems, and our auto systems using hoppers, they run under the ground right here and connect to that as well. So the auto sugarcane farm and the automatic pumpkin and watermelon farm, which isn't working great as you can see, but it's at least you don't ever have to do anything with it. It just does it all itself. Those all run into the feed system. And one thing you got to worry about when you set up auto systems into a sorter is that when the sorter item boxes get full, that jams up the system. So you do have to make sure you check the pumpkins every now and then, and the watermelon and all that. But now we should have tons of carrots. Oh yeah, look at all those carrots now. So we could just go run another batch and probably almost double this, or we could just move on to another crop, or we could split up the crops again and do a bunch at once, depending on what you're feeling like. So that's that's how I use the auto farm system. Like I said, it's actually a very simple construction. You just got to kind of tweak it to feel what's right. You might have some trial and error, and most of all, you got to keep your villagers out because they're really frustrating, and that's why I have iron doors at the end here. So just to keep the villagers out. And now I have this lovely fence, which means they won't try to jump down there and get the crops. So that's assuming, of course, you have villagers in your castle or house or whatever. But yeah, so very simple system. It's not as fast as, say, some of the people that I've seen will use the bone meal with pistons pushing the blocks side to side. That's faster, but it's very frustrating for somebody like me with ADD who has to sit there and just keep doing it over and over and over again. You know, I want to be able to like do one thing, run over, do something else, and then come back and everything be done. So yeah, that was that. Hope you guys enjoyed and learned something. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments, and I will see you next time. I've been Hyperion Rail. Catch you later.